Hello. So, welcome to my channel, Software Chef. And today we'll be talking about DevOps as a career and how you could start learning the DevOps tools, followed by a simple Ansible demo. I'll also share my career experience and how I transitioned my career from being a middleware engineer to DevOps engineer. And I'll demonstrate how easy it is to get started with one of the most famous DevOps tool, which is Ansible. So let's begin. I started my career as a middleware engineer. So I used to have all this Java code floating around, and we used to deploy that particular code on middleware servers, be it on Apache servers or let's say on JBoss EAP or on Oracle WebLogic. But then I decided to take another career path, which was DevSecOps. And to be honest, I didn't have a really strong strategy on it. I invested a lot of time in learning Kubernetes, OpenShift, and all the cloud related buzzwords. To be honest, I was confused. And I never deep dived into any of these technologies because as soon as I started learning a tool, there was a new version of it. And there was a new tool which was introduced in the market. So that was a big issue. And I'm sure any of you who is trying to get into DevOps would see a huge ocean in front of you and you are unaware which tool or technology to start with. We talk about so many technologies in DevOps. We talk about Kubernetes, Helm, Ansible, Terraform, Argo, GitLab CI/CD, whatnot, and it's a never-ending list. The internet is loaded with all the content and videos on DevOps topics. However, the deep dive is missing, and that's why I am here. We will deep dive into all these topics, tools, and understand the basics. Because if you master the basics, I'm sure you'll master the tool and technology. So I had a bad strategy, but what could be a better strategy? Learning all the new cool tech? Trust me, no. Mastering the basics is really important if you want your career to be shining, particularly in the DevOps field. If you analyze all these tools or technologies, you will find one thing in common, and that is most of these tools use YAML language to write code. YAML stands for yet another markup language. You might have heard about YAML a lot of times, and most of them tell that, oh, it's pretty easy to use. However, until unless you practice writing YAML files on your own, you will not be able to master it. And I'm telling you by my experience of this. I also had the similar thoughts. YAML is easy. After I started writing YAML files, I came to know a lot of things which was not available on the internet, and no one guided me about that. Okay, which tool you should start with? And I believe Ansible being one of the most famous tools which is used in most of the IT companies is one of the easiest tool to get started with. The core of any IT company is nowadays built upon automation. The fast you could automate your things, the faster you could improve your deployment cycle. You are running into a great business then. So for today, let's get started by simply provisioning our VMs using Ansible and then just writing a simple playbook. Okay. Now, before going into the demo, I would like to give you a quick overview of what are the features of Ansible and why are we using it. First of all, Ansible is an open source tool, so it's available for everyone. And it not only helps you with the configuration management, you could provision your infrastructure, you could provision a machine on any of the clouds, be it Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, etc. You could not only install your software, you could automate simple tasks, you could provision your infrastructure. And that's what makes this particular tool really easy to use. I personally like simplicity. And Ansible is pretty much simple. Setting up Ansible, installing this tool is just 2, 3 lines of command, and that's it. You are ready to go. Plus, it's much more efficient, powerful, and fast to use. It's built on top of Python, and it's really uses the concepts of SSH to just simply use the passwordless network authentication protocol, which is secure. Now, the prerequisites of using Ansible are pretty simple. You need to just have a Unix-like machine with Python 3.8 or newer version installed, and you could simply install Ansible using the pip command and the Python command. I'm attaching all the installation and the getting started guide in this video description. Let's proceed with writing a playbook and checking the syntax of this particular playbook. So for this particular demo, I am using two Fedora hosts, which we created in the last video. You can check up my video on running the hosts on UTM machine. The link is in the description.
As we discussed, this is my control machine where my Ansible is installed, and I can quickly show you the version of my Ansible, which is built on Core 2.12. These are the predefined configurations. You could see I'm using Python version 3.8. So the prerequisite says you could use any version starting with 3.8 or higher. And my executable location to be inside user bin Ansible. So this is pretty much fine. And now let's get started. Oops. Okay. So I could show you how you could simply create SSH keys and distribute it among your hosts. So this is my host machine where my Ansible is installed with the host name of AAP. That's my Fedora host 1, and this one is my host 2. The name of the hosts are same, but these are two different machines if you check out this IP. Also, what I've done is you just simply need to go into your SSH directory. You could simply use the SSH keygen commands to generate new keys. You would get two files over here, which is called as, this is your public file, which I'm highlighting over here, and this is your private file. Make sure that you do not expose your private file. You could simply distribute your public files with your hosts. So you could add this particular id rsa.pub file. You could simply visit this, and now we would just simply add these files in the authorized keys of our hosts. So if you see over here, I've already done that for you guys. My host is ready with my authorized keys, and this is my second host. So we have done the same part over here. Okay, now to test this connection, what I'm going to do is I will simply say, and I will simply run an SSH command to this particular host, and let's see, it is 192.168.0.216. Perfect. So my passwordless authentication is set up, and similarly it goes for my second machine, which is on the same subnet, but it's a completely new VM. So that's also working fine. We could simply see that the login worked. Great. Now let's get started with one of our first playbooks, which is being written in Ansible, and I'll give you a walkthrough of how you could write and simply check your syntax using simple Ansible commands. So I have created this particular project. If you see, I have my playbook file over here. I have defined an inventory. I have defined my Ansible configuration, and we'll go through all of these files one by one. Let's start with our ansible.configuration file. This particular file is simply helping us to enable the callbacks, which would tell us about the size a particular task took. Welcome.txt is a file which we will be copying it using our playbook. Our inventory defines the IP addresses of our hosts. So if you see, this is my host 1, this is my host 2, and this is a dummy host which I've kept it over here. Now let's go through with our playbook. So the first part in our playbook, which starts with name, this defines the name of your playbook. And over here, we are simply copying welcome.txt file on remote hosts. On what all hosts are we doing this particular activity? We have defined all. That means on all hosts. If we want to just run this on any of the hosts, let's say only on the test VM or on the prod VM, we would have defined that particular value here. After that, the tasks begin. The tasks consists of the plays which you would be running inside this particular playbook. And I have defined three tasks, which is first ping the host to check whether the host is available, whether it's responding back properly or not. And for that, we are using one of the inbuilt modules of Ansible, which is called as ping module. And we are simply registering the output of this ping module in a variable called as status. In the second task, we are simply displaying the message we are storing in our status variable. And in the third task, we are copying the file, which is welcome.txt, to our remote hosts on /etc directory. So you could see that I've given the name of the source of my file. I have defined the destination. I'm defining the mode, and also I've written a when condition. This task will only run when the status of the ping is successful. If the status of this particular ping command is false, then for that particular host, this play will not run. So let's run it. And to run this particular playbook, now before running it, we need to check the syntax. With YAML, one of the most important things is the syntax. So what you could do is you could simply run this command Ansible Playbook, the name of your playbook, which is test.yaml, the inventory, which is related to it, and you could simply say -" syntax check. Oops, I think typo, I made a typo. Yeah. So you see, there is no error. Now let's do one thing. Let's just distort and let's see what happens now. So I've intentionally made an incorrect syntax in my playbook, and I would like to see what my syntax check command would give me the output. So now you see, it gave me an error, expecting value 1, line 1. And if you want to troubleshoot any of the syntax errors, just read through your error message, which is over here. So it tells me that the error appears to be in this particular line 16. Let's go in this and let's fix it. Line 16 is here. We see that this indentation is incorrect. I made the indentation right. I would run this syntax command again. Perfect. Let's run this particular command to run our playbook and see the results. So you would see this is the name of our play. This was our dummy host in our inventory. So this is the correct message because no such host exists and the ping command is false. Let's wait for the other. Okay, perfect. So this ping was successful. You would see that our second task, which was debugging and writing the messages, we got Pong as response. Over here, you would see the status of this particular two host to be changed. And over here, you would see the time which it took to ping the host, to copy the file, and to debug the host. Let's check our host if we have the correct files over there or not. And if I would say less /etc/ okay, bravo, we have our files. So now you would see how easy it was to just write a playbook and simply copy simple file. Just imagine if you would have thousands of these hosts and if you would have to do this manually, it would have been a huge task and it would have taken a lot of time and effort. But with Ansible, it's pretty much easy. It makes your life easy. You just run a playbook and all your hosts are changed within no time. So that's it from my side, guys. And feel free to share your comments if you like the video, what you would like to see in future. I would be looking forward to hearing from you all.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, feel free to share it with your friends, give it a thumbs like, and subscribe to my channel.